You don't want to be a person that can just make all these crazy, heavy decisions on your own and be okay with it, because that's kind of like psychopath behavior. If you struggle with confident decision making or analysis paralysis, this diagram is for you. If you are tasked with making a decision, the first thing you need to do that's not on this diagram, but I am going to tell you anyway, is deep breathing. I know a lot of people think that's minor. Why are you telling us? It's a waste of time. But I think we forget about it. Take a deep breath. Slow down. I also think that we can get in front of people that may feel offended because they feel like, oh, well, why is she sighing so much? And why is she doing all this? Like, girl, it's not that serious. But really, it is. Take your time. This is your life. You have to live it. And if that's what you need to do to calm yourself down, to make the appropriate decision, then that's what you need to do. The first thing you need to ask yourself is, can I simplify the choice? If you can simplify that, then make the decision and then move forward in confidence. Do not second guess yourself. If you are struggling a little bit, you might need a little more assistance. I recommend seeking input from trusted sources. Reach out to people that you trust, family, friends, coworkers, lovers, what have you. Anybody that you trust to give you sound advice, anybody that you can talk things out with. This is why having an accountability partner is so important. Get their advice, get some tips from them, hash things out, have a brainstorming session. All of those things might be necessary for you to come to the appropriate choice. So if you've reached out to other people and you still are struggling a little bit, I recommend setting a decision deadline. You guys, deadlines are healthy pressures to have in your life. I know a lot of times it feels like, oh, another thing that I have to check off my list and I got to set a deadline for it, and you might feel overwhelmed. But it's also very healthy to have those deadlines in place so that you're not procrastinating and waiting to the last minute to make the decision, because once you get to that point, then you end up making a decision on a whim that's probably not appropriate. If you've went through all of that and you've set yourself a deadline and you're still struggling, then break them down into smaller steps. This is one that we really miss that's actually very simple. Take it back to grade school. Let's say if you set yourself a deadline for 7 days. On the first day, weigh your pros and cons. Make a list, weigh the pros, weigh the cons against each other, and see what's the best decision to make from there. On the second day, go through who this might affect. Most importantly, this decision will affect you and whatever you got going on in your life, how this decision will affect you and other people. And then you want to test your emotions and your energy behind it, which is the next step. Reevaluate with emotional distance. Check your energy behind it. I know a lot of times we're making decisions that involve, let's say it involves money, and we might feel like, well, I don't need to put any emotions behind this. This is money. I need to be stern. I need to be straight to the point. But you guys, we are spiritual beings. Everything we do is out of emotion. Whether you want to believe it or not, everything that we're doing in our lives is drawn from some kind of emotion. The motivation behind it can be the emotion, but it's still an emotion that is being drawn from. Energetically, if I say yes to this, how do I feel? Do I feel confident about it? Do I feel secure in this decision? Do I feel integral behind the decision that I made? Take your time to evaluate your energy behind the decision that you're making. So if you've gone through all of these steps and you still feel like you're overwhelmed, you still cannot come to terms with making the final decision, let's say you're tasked with having to pull the plug on someone that's on life support. That is a big deal. That's a heavy issue. Some of us can't get through that on our own, and that's a good thing. You don't want to be a person that can just make all these crazy, heavy decisions on your own and be okay with it, because that's kind of like psychopath behavior, but that's another story. But if you've gone through all those steps and you still feel so overwhelmed and you still cannot figure it out, reach out to a therapist or a coach or a professional that has the expertise in what you're dealing with. Sometimes our trusted sources, our family and friends, have not been through the issue that we're struggling with. Sometimes this is bigger than them. This is bigger than yourself, and you need some kind of professional assistance. So don't feel afraid to reach out to external resources, because that's what they're there for, number one, but also that shows a level of emotional maturity on your part to know yourself enough to say, hey, I really cannot figure this out on my own. I really need to take another step and reach out to someone, and do that with confidence. Do that with a pure security within your heart, because that is necessary sometimes. If you want to download this diagram, this is on the Geneva app. Download the Geneva app. It's totally free. Search up Goal Heights in there. I have a free library where you can access this diagram, or you can take a screenshot of it right now. This is a resource for you. Take advantage of it. Pull this up when you actually are struggling with making decisions, or you're stuck in between making a decision. Familiarize yourself with this so that this can just be second nature to you moving forward, and you can make decisions in confidence.